everybody. Thank you for joining. So I can see, ciao Gianluca. I can see then some people already say hi, but that was before we arrived. Let us know if you can hear us. Like, yes, we can. No, we can't. Yes, we can. Okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. So you can hear us. Okay, that is already a super good news. So let's start. I will start sharing the slides. And so before starting sharing the slides, let's explain the setup today. So Isaline today will speak with Irina. So I will do all the hosting part because obviously she will already need her energy to speak and concentrate on that. So I will take care of everything else. So if it sucks, what can I say? It's like this. Next time Isaline will be back. So, okay. So let me start on a more serious note, absolutely, by sharing the screen. It always takes some time, but we can do it. Okay. So do you see the screen? Yes. Okay. So, okay. Welcome to SEO Nerd Switzerland, obviously, because they are here, so you know it. So the first part is about the association. So Isaline and I built this in 2019, I think. November 2019. I have a fantastic memory. So November 2019, and it was really to meet other SEO, to exchange ideas, come up with new ideas. And we really look hard to find other SEO in Switzerland at the beginning, and we just didn't find them. So what happened? It was like, let's build a community. And then that was the name, SEO Nerd Switzerland. But it became more an international community. With COVID, we started to exchange with everybody else. So now we have physical events and online events. So this obviously is an online event. So the community is open to everybody. We give like trustworthy information. Obviously, we have the discussion. The goal is really to have a safe place where you can really discuss, network, especially for the physical event, where everybody respects everybody and everybody's opinion on SEO. We do something like we have the tendency to empower SEO in their career, obviously, and we try to promote women as public speakers because we realized quite fast then there were not so many women speaking, and we learn the hard way. Then a lot of women feel very uncomfortable in speaking publicly. So what we do, we support them. We support them in all possible way. We train them, we do dry run, and then we have them here with us. So we have like experts like Irina, then often come, and then we have people much less expert in public speaking, and we train them and they come. So what else can I say? This is the main thing about our community. So it's a community open to all, and we really want to have a discussion as much as possible. Obviously, we are a community and we are very free. So the problem is then we need your support. So if you like, share on social media, sharing is caring. So care about us and help us by sharing and supporting us. Because that also gives to speaker visibility. They do a lot of effort, to be honest, really a lot of effort. So please share the effort that they're doing and help us reach much more people. Now, I don't know if we have another slide. No, just to let you know, Isaline is in charge of sponsoring, and we are still looking sponsor for the next year in case you know somebody, take us into account. Now, our sponsors, this year's sponsor, which we are very proud because without them, like it would be very difficult to do everything. One is Leap. which is a web and mobile agency. They have offices all over Switzerland. I work also there. Then we have Equal, which is a full agency. Also, they do really everything, and so also website like Leap, and is also our sponsor. And then we have Pilea, Pilea.ch, which is they especially do SEO. Isaline is part of Pilea, so is mainly SEO and analytics, as we will see today. Now, we have our next event taking place on the 19th of October, and this will be an in-person event, and this will be in Bern, not in Zurich, in Bern. And when the events are in Bern, we do them in German. So this will be a German event. Again, 19th of October, 6 o'clock. Remember that. Join us, subscribe if you are in the area. If you speak German, join. But now let's speak about the two speakers. This is the reason why you are here, mainly. Irina and Isaline. So they have their own slides, so they will express themselves, explain more about themselves. The only thing then I can say about them is like Isaline, probably you know her because like you saw her at SEO North Switzerland. She do the Women in Tech SEO podcast, tons of activity. She does a lot of sport, and Irina too, I just discovered that. So she's also cycling like Isaline. Her main speciality is like she's a web analytics specialist, I would say, a consultant. She has her own agency, Irina Kudres. So correct me if I pronounce it correct. And I think that are the main information. I will stop sharing because now what you're looking for is clearly, how do I stop there? Yeah, okay. It's clearly to hear them. So Irina will share and then they will start speaking. I'll let you go.
Okay, you should see the slides, right? Thank you for the introduction, Sarah. Thanks for the energy. And thank you everyone for being here to listen to us today. So we prepared a talk about use cases of GA4 and notes on how to sell them, like sell packages and sell some reporting. The idea is we want to get you excited about the possibilities of GA4. I know not everyone is very enthusiastic about it, which is really a pity because there is a lot to learn about, to love about GA4. So I hope you'll be enthusiastic about the tool after that. So all of these are our use case in the past couple of months. And if you need any support to do the dashboards and stuff afterwards, of course, we are here to help. We try to do something that everyone can understand, like without too much technical details. But of course, we're here to help you do it. So usually our clients, we tell them that you can call us I+I. And we met through the community Women in Tech SEO. And this is the first webinar we're doing together, but hopefully there will be lots of others. And if you need technical support for anything, I really warmly recommend working with Irina because it was really fantastic to work with her. So any question you have, just hire her and you'll be fine. So I'm an SEO consultant. I'm based in Lausanne, and I mostly work for companies who target the French-speaking area of Switzerland. As Sarah said, I work on SEO North Switzerland too, and I'm also the podcast host of the Women in Tech SEO community. And I have just started a new podcast in French. So it's a silent launch for the moment, but since you're here, I'm going to share with you the link. And what I like about my work is really fixing websites with content localization. But the thing is, anytime you fix something, you need to know if the fixing worked. That's why it's just necessary to have some types of tracking.
Hi, everyone. Thank you a lot, Isaline and Sarah, for inviting me for this one. So I'm Irina, and thank you, Isaline, for warm welcome. I'm an SEO and analytical consultant based in Italian Alps. And yeah, I enjoy really technical, complex projects within Google Tag Manager and GA4. And while working in SEO, I found that it's super cool when you can collect more data and analyze it better what you are doing as an SEO or as a marketing consultant in general. So there is a lot of power we don't know when we are focusing only on SEO or only on general marketing channels. Yeah, I'm quite sporty. I love cycling, hiking, and living near the nature. And I talk a little bit Italian, English, and Russian. So yeah, if you speak a little bit Italian, you can try to ask me in Italian afterwards.
We have decided that this talk is not an introduction to GA4. There are lots of introduction to GA4 out there, but we really warmly encourage you to do this first learning curve. And we promise that if you do that learning curve, it's difficult at the beginning to change tool, but it's really worth it. And we have a few facts for you that we want just quickly to highlight. So the first thing to remember is that GA4 is based on a different data model. And you remember that data is available in the reports only 24 hours after collection. So if you set something up and it doesn't look straight away like it's working, don't freak out. It's probably just that you need to wait. There are new metrics in data. So you will see that in this webinar, we talk about users and events and conversion, and we stop talking about goals. So if you are not yet familiar with these facts about GA4, really, we have two articles that Sarah can share now. Just dig a little bit into these facts and make sure you understand what we mean if you don't know yet. The first use case we'd like to share, it's a Swiss technical university. That's a use case that we started working in spring. And the interesting fact about this use case is, imagine you have a ton of different users of Google Analytics. You have the central communication team, and you have head of communication for different labs and different departments. And each department is interested into what's happening for their department and for whatever they are publishing. So you have a wide variety of users, of knowledge, and of access to WordPress and to analytics. What's also interesting is that so this is a really by the book privacy protection. So we are not going to go into details in that talk, but we also supported them to choose the cookies and do everything very appropriately to ensure that the privacy of the users and the code is firing only when you have opt-in, So this is a thing. And so what was politically difficult in that project is that we needed to migrate everyone from the old tool from their old habits to the new tool, and to taking new habits in this new tool. And it was impossible to do some one-on-one coaching for everybody. So somehow you need to find ways for them to migrate the VP they're using, which is dedicated to their part of the website, but still belongs to the main site. And you need to migrate all of these people to the new tool. So, and the second thing that was also interesting about that project is that we had to onboard the developers and find technical solutions to keep the previous setup of access they had with Google Analytics with Universal, even though it's a little bit different with GA4. So we had to think about like how everybody is going to tackle this different type of challenge. So it was really a different level, like high level privacy, like a level of use and different users, and a technical level project. We offered, of course, I mentioned it. So our offer, we sold we sold different packages. So there was a package with the cookie implementation and support on the privacy settings. There was a package with technical implementation, a package about educational material, tutorials, and these webinars and this type of stuff. We also created custom standard reports and also custom exploration reports. So about the reports, there was also a little bit of, well, a lot of actually listening to the request and understanding what type of report we can use, what is already existing, and creating the reports, of course.
So here I will go through the examples of requests we received from them and how we actually solved them using GA4 and Google Tag Manager. So the first request was ensure information is found. The background of this that they have, as a lot of websites has, the search function. So you can search on the website to find some information, some articles, or maybe some information or about, I don't know, the programs on the university. So our goal was to show them and answer this question. So do people find what they need? So do they click through the website after they use the search button? And to solve this, we built exploration report, a free form in exploration reports in GA4, and we used a search term. So search term is something which is provided by GA4 by default. So usually you don't need to do any customization. You just use this because it's already offered by GA4. And we used the exits. So to see if the person or user used some of the search button. So he or she clicked, and we can see the search term. And did they exit on this page? So it means that they have not found what they need, or they clicked through. That means that information they at least were searching, they had some something to click through and to engage with the website. So this is the first example when you see that, okay, information is found. It's not the request about the report. So they have not told you like, oh, we would like to see the search term, we would like to see the exits, we would like to see the page path on which they were searching. So you need to find the metrics and dimensions we can use to visualize this request. Another request was also to see a little bit more details, how many search terms users using and how it's actually how popular some of the searches, because for sure there are some more popular and less popular searches, so they can see maybe they need to write more articles about these or provide more information. So in this case, we also used the same free-form exploration report, and we used also search term, but for metrics, we have not used exits, we used event count, so how many times this search term was used and how many active users actually search for this. So this is kind of straightforward, but this is what you can do usually if you already just set it up GA4, so you don't need anything to customize. Another request was because they have a huge sections of news. So they would like to see if users are actually reading and engaging with their content. And because for sure we have user engagement as a metric, but they would like to have something additionally to this. So we come up with that we would like to see users who are actually at least spending 5 seconds on the page and scrolling 90%. So they are actually engaging in reading the content. So to solve this one, we couldn't use anything which is provided by GA4 by default. So we used Google Tag Manager to create this success event, which is 5 seconds on the page and scrolling 90%, combining these two. And we also visualize this data using exploration section and freeform. So you can see as a dimension page path, so you can see the news, they are actually landed or clicked and visited. And we can see how many users visited this page, and then how many times this event counted. And we can also see event count per user. So do a lot of users actually engage with the content or not using this dimension. And also the last thing is, if you have not only news section on the page, we need to filter this, having data only about the news and not only about all the information. For example, in case of university, we had programs, we had some contact pages, and etc. So we'd like to have data and report only about this. And another request was, which is very, very common, I think, Isaline knows that it's super common, because we really like in Universal Analytics, you had views. So you can have external views, internal views, something like subdomain view. So you can do a lot. And here in GA4, it's not provided straightforwardly. And they for sure, as a university, asked us, can we have this? Because they have a lot of people who are actually internally engaging with the content, and they have external, so they have 2 audiences, and they need information about 2 audiences. In this case, what we have done, we have used the customization opportunity in GA4, because you could not apply the view, but you can customize each of the reports. And you can customize this having internal and external view by filtering external and internal users. And to have access to this, you can customize menu. So it's easy. You can see on the slides that on the left, when you open the reports in GA4, you can add any reporting you would like to. So you don't need to filter this every time, because it might be very demanding. And also, if you are not very technical, and for sure for university, not a lot of people are technical, but they need to see, okay, how many people are reading our news about some internal events. So that's what we provided to them, so they can easily access this, having external and internal data separately in the menu, and you can just click and see this. And to have this filtering, you add IP addresses in GA4, and then you have the opportunity to actually differentiate this traffic. And the last one, but not the least one, I think, so not only for university, but in general, I think when we are creating a content, and editorial team would like to see, like, who is the most popular author? What is the channel or the category the most popular? So this is what they asked us, like, can we see this? Can we analyze this data? And we were like, yeah, we can have this data. So this is also not something provided by default in GA4, but you can quite easily do this through Google Tag Manager to push this data about author name and about category or channel. In their case, they had different channels connected to different degrees and etc. So we use these custom dimensions, and you can see on the screen that we have different authors, and we can see how many views each of these author collected, for example, during this month, engagement time, and also how many users actually engage with the content provided by this author. So it can help a lot to understand what you can write, what authors are maybe writing more interesting, more engaging content, and the same about the category, what are actually interesting for people and for users, and what you can do and write more, or maybe what you can improve if you see the difference, and maybe somewhere you can coach the author, or you can improve the category, the content of the category if it's important. So we had some challenges with the reporting. And because developers were super worried, as I remembered, that they were like, we need to implement Google Tag Manager, because they hadn't had Google Tag Manager, they had only Universal Analytics. And you see that some of the requests they had, we couldn't do this only with GA4, so we need to have Google Tag Manager. And our job was not only technically implement this, but also and explain them that it's no worries, you can do this. It would not ruin anything. It's actually a good thing. So sometimes negotiation is the key. So this is where Isaline is really brilliant to bring people what they need to do without actually pushing them. Another challenge was that author names were written in 2 languages. So we need to have 2 different reporting for French and for English, because authors also has 2 different naming in French and in English. And the general challenge here is that you could not apply external and internal filtering on the whole bunch of reporting. You need manually to do this for each report you need to. So it's kind of time consuming, but good thing you do this one time and then it's done. And the last thing, what we will do differently, Isaline maybe will add something here, is that, ask meeting with developers ASAP, because we had huge delay with Google Tag Manager implementation, so we couldn't do a lot of things because we were waiting the implementation. So asking ASAP the meeting, even if when you're working with marketing managers, for example, they were like, our developers will do everything, no worries. Ask the meeting and answer every question they have. So it can be very transparent why you need to do this, how they can help you, and also to answer any feedback they will have. So it's much easier versus to have marketing manager or somebody who hired you between you and developers, because it can take a lot of time and a lot of miscommunication. And the last thing is that get better understanding about the audience, because we also provided 2 trainings for them about GA4, and because it's huge organization, as Isaline mentioned, so they have different types of audiences. Investing more time to understand what we can provide to each of this type of audience, we can improve much better their content, so it can answer more different types of questions, because when you have huge audience, you need to actually understand what they actually need from analytics, and requests were really, really different.
And so a couple of tips from me, who's the salesperson in that project. So the interesting thing with Google Analytics 4 is that you have lots more possibilities, but they are a lot more intentional. Before you used to have universal, and you have lots of data that nobody ever uses, but it's just available. And the thing is, it was given for this university to think, everybody uses Google Analytics because, everybody has some access and there are loads of data, but not at all. So it's really an occasion, like an opportunity for you to help the clients with the KPIs, like as Irina mentioned, like what do they actually want to track, and how are they going to use this? So what is very easy to do in this type of projects is really remember to create a package per step. You have a first step that is the kickoff, the cookies, the technical briefing to the devs. So this is already consulting, and this should be paid. And you have another step that can be the technical implementation, and how do you set up GTM, how do you brief the devs to do the setups, etc. So really remember to create one package per step, and to provide clear in your offer, provide clear deliverable, and really share the sign-off. So after each step, there was really a moment for me where I said, okay, these are your deliverable for step 1. And so for us, they are done. And there's a contractual part where if you're not happy with this, you have 4 weeks to say something, and after 4 weeks, this is going to be something that we're going to invoice extra. So the bigger the project is, the most important, and also the bigger and the more people on the project, the more important it is to very much and very well clarify the steps. And also the thing is, as consultants, if this is a very big project, you might want to ask for your money in the middle. So if you have a clear-cut package and you have shared the sign-off, you are free to invoice that step and go to the next. And I think in terms of cognitive load, it also helps to know, okay, so this is over and this is done. So that's the really important thing about the deliverable that I recommend. And second thing that really helped is we very early on, like we did today, and even better, clarified with the clients who is the spokesperson for what. So Irina is the spokesperson to the dev team, and anything that's technical, I'm the spokesperson for anything that's for project management, choosing KPI, and remembering everything to, delays and deadline and stuff. And that made it very much easier, especially as we were a bilingual team because the client was in French. Also, something that is very, very important is to limit in the offer the number of meetings. For instance, you can write in your offer, you have a package, a price per package, and you're going to say project management included, up to 5 meetings with the technical team. So you need to be clear about the number of meetings, because there can be a moment where they need more from you, and you said project management included, and you reach a level where you have too many meetings, and that was actually not included in your buffer. So it's important to say how many meetings are included to have some leverage in case there are more. Another very important thing is to clarify what are the blockers. And if internally you cannot provide an answer, what are your options? For instance, you don't decide on the cookie very well, but the clock is ticking about Google Analytics 4. So if you want some data, you have to start tracking. So clarifying the blockers for each package, it's important. And I very much advise you, I think, not only if you're a consultant, but also if you're an internal team, to be sort of very formal about it and have your email saying, this is the package, this is the sign-off, this is the blockers. So you really have, so the client is really on track with what's happening, because there are very high chances that your client is doing 100 different other things internally besides what they are doing for GA4. So it leaves for them, like it's frees them the cognitive load of managing too much, because you're there to do the work.
So yeah, this was the first case, and now we will go through the use case as an e-commerce, because e-commerce is something I think a lot of SEOs are working, so it should be quite interesting. What was special about this use case, that it's beauty e-commerce project where you can buy only with approved account and follow the users. So you should have a little bit more reporting about from where people are coming from and users are coming from. They needed both e-commerce and non-e-commerce events. They need not only reporting, but also audience creation, because they had a huge focus on Google Ads performance. So they need audiences so they can work with them using GA4. What we offered full support with e-commerce tracking and a cooperation with developers, because we need to implement new e-commerce tracking for GA4, because Universal Analytics 1 did not work. Creation of non-e-commerce events with GTM, reporting creation, audience creation, and for sure GA4 and GTM workshops on how to actually use what we have set up. So the first request, I will go through some reporting examples so you can see what also are kind of requests you can have from clients in e-commerce. So first of all, they asked us, can we see the sales data by channel? So in this case, you have our beloved exploration report. And we use also freeform, which is some kind of table, as you can see as example. And for us, it's important to use session default channel grouping and maybe source of medium if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, not only like organic, but maybe Google or Bing or Yahoo, something like that. So I would like to see this, and then you can see already how many users you have, how much conversions they brought, and also the total revenue. So this is where you can see which channel is actually bringing you the total revenue. And you can compare this on monthly basis, on weekly basis. So this is also very powerful. And this is you can do inside GA4, inside expression report. So you don't need anything external. The second request was like, can we see view product conversion data? So they would like to see exactly which product has higher sales and which product, for example, is not selling that well. So for this one, you could not have this data without developers' help. So you need first to have data layer from where you are actually collecting this data, because otherwise you wouldn't have this in GE by default. I know that sometimes there are some people who think that because e-commerce is something provided by default, written on even on Google Help page. So by default means that you can collect this data by default. There are some naming, but you still need to have this data in the code added by developers. And then if everything is done by developers, it's already much easier for you, for sure, to just visualize this. So you can have item name as a dimension. So you would like to see sales by items. You can see the total revenue for each item and how many items were purchased. So if you have, for example, non-beauty product, but I don't know, electronics, so you can see that maybe one TV was sold and a lot of small things, and the revenue is the same. So this helps you and the team you're working with to actually plan better their marketing activities. Another one was the request, also a lot of requests you see about, for sure, revenue and conversions, and less as in university was like about engagement, reading, and etc. So here's money. And revenue and conversion also is something you need to have data in data layer to have revenue as a numbers. So it could not be just provided by default because you have total revenue by default in GA4, but to have actually not zeros, but some numbers, you need this data to be pushed from the code. And to visualize this, same expression report, free form. And here we were interested to see the first user medium dimension. So what is the channel the user first came from, not during different sessions. So this is the difference from the first reporting we were looking at. And we can also see how many users came, user conversion rate for each channel, for example, for Google organic, and conversions and total revenue brought by each channel. So this is very, very powerful to analyze and where we can invest, because the first touch for sure is very important for them, because then they logged in and then they may be buying this already coming to the website directly. Another request, or also very common, and in this case we also had this, can we see Google Ads report? And actually it's built in GA4, but you need a little bit of dig in to find this, so you don't need to create this from scratch. So you go to acquisition overview, and if you are running Google Ads and they are connected to GA4, you will see this one, which is the small one where you can see the data from Google Ads. And if you click here, the report will open, and this is what you will see. So when you click and open this in the new window, you can actually add this to the menu, and you will have this already by default in your menu under reporting. So you don't need to create this and actually to combine this, but you need to find this inside GA4. And another request was not only to give the data about Google Ads, but also a little bit more details about Google Ads. And I really like this reporting because you can see not only the keyword text your ads was shown, but also the query people were typing in to visit your website. So you can also match this data and to see maybe you can somehow update your ads or something. You can see that bringing more conversions or less conversions. And yeah, here we also use always exploration and freeform, so we don't need actually to remember anything else. And one of the last things is checkout behavior. So also something I think very interesting for e-commerce, because for sure you would like to see where people are dropping off. Maybe they don't like, I don't know, payment methods, or they don't like how you will actually ship them. Maybe shipping is very costly, so something like that. This is where you can build funnel exploration report, also using explorations, going to the funnel, and then you can build this using events like begin checkout, shipping, adding, payment information, etc. So you can see where people are dropping off, and you can also consult your clients on what they need to improve, maybe to have higher conversion rate. And maybe a lot of people are dropping on the shipping, and they could not, for example, choose the shipping. There are some issues there. So it's very easy to build in the funnel, and there are a lot of insights in the funnels especially. And Isaline will talk about this later also for another one. So the challenges was, I would say that the challenge was the same as with university, because we had a huge delay with implementation from developers, and it was even higher delay, because it was external agency who was doing this, and they had a lot of clients already migrating from university to GA4, and they had a delay for 2 months. So it was crazy, and this is something maybe you as an external consultant could not change, but at least you need this information. And if you can have direct contact with the agency to talk with them, maybe they will prioritize your client and you will have the data faster. And another one was that some Google Ads campaigns were with not set status, so no campaign, etc. So you might face this also for your other clients. It might be that you need some time. When Google Ads connected, you need up to 2 days to have the correct data. So sometimes you need just to wait, or you need also to review the correct implementation, so you wouldn't have not set on the campaign. Just keep this in mind. And what we will do differently here, asking meeting with the developers for sure. And also for the developers, it's better to recommend Siemens Java documentation versus the Google official documentation of e-commerce implementation events, because it's much more detailed versus what is officially on Google.
The interesting thing with what Irina said, and I hope you will remember, is that with GA4, you have lots of options to use these exploration reports, which work a bit like drag and drop. So it's a bit like, it's even better than using a Google or Excel sheets, because you have the template and you just change things in drag and drops, and you can do it in complete confidence, because you're like exploration reports, they are just for you to view, except if you share it with someone else, but it's just for you to view, and you're really not breaking anything or changing anything. So you can just work on your report and use it as a playground and use these drag and drop. So this is where it's bits like Google Data Studio, instead that you don't have to look for the templates, because the templates, they are already there. You can already use them, and they are very handy, really very handy. So the last use case I wanted to share here is one we did with Irina. Like, you have those big projects as consultant, which lasts month, but in between, to have a variety of revenue, you have also smaller projects with maybe technically technically easier things to do, but where you can still have a huge impact. So the last use case, it's a B2B. So it's really a very classic B2B situation of the Swiss French part of here is like, so you speaking directly to the director. There is no one, like in the previous case studies, we had a head of communication, project manager, whatever, internal, who would have requests. The difference in this scenario is they don't really have requests, but the thing is they are in this process of digitalization, and in the last 3 years, they have like tripled their marketing budget. So they are at this stage where they think, we invest so much money, actually, we want to know what's the point of all of this. So you know that it's B2B, so you have high acquisition costs, you have also very often low search volumes, but the value of the leads is very high. So you have this opportunity to guide them on the path to data-led decisions, and you know that it's going to help them for their marketing activities, because until now they are a bit like in the dark, doing things because they think it's useful, but you can really guide them where for the activities that have the most impacts. So what we offered here is the support on a correct technical implementation. In here, it's like really auditing that GA4 is correctly set up and working fine, no duplicate no duplicate data and this kind of stuff. Then there is a step for coaching and educational material, a customization of reports, standard reports in that case, and the menu exploration, like creation of an exploration report. And for this type of smaller clients, what's useful is I always try to sell together a step that is a monthly follow-up and a yearly KPI meeting. And this is the moment when I help them with the interpretation, because it's really easy to build a dashboard, but it's very difficult to use the dashboard internally and to know what does that dashboard tell you about your marketing activities. So the first step really is the first request is help them define the KPI. And in that step, when you define the KPI, so my recommendation for small business is always track less and better. Like, do not create a dashboard if you are not in a process of optimization. For lots of business, like some activities, they are like successful just because they exist for that client. Like if they have regular publication and LinkedIn, but that's enough, even if we are not really trying to track what kind of traffic it brings to the website and if that is that converts. Like, so try to make a difference with the client between what is just existence and what is optimization, because creating a dashboard, looking at the dashboard and thinking about its interpretation to have an impact on the marketing activities, it takes time. So if you are not in this process of optimization, just focus on something else, and it's good enough to do the activities and focus on what's really important. Also, there is a need to have a 360 degree view of marketing here. We are very much focused on SEO activities, but for smaller business, includes all relevant marketing activities. So really discuss like what type of dashboards are going to be useful for the clients, but not just SEO, especially for B2B. And also, what I'm thinking also when I say support action is there are dashboards and there are growth. So some dashboards, you know, you need to have them for you to know that everything's okay for your clients. But sometimes you're really in that process of optimization and growth. And when I say growth, I'm also thinking what is going to drive the most revenue for the clients. So again, less is better. Choose the dashboards that are going to hit the mark for the clients, because it's linked to some sort of conversion, some sort of money generation from the website. So the first thing is to focus on the B2B activity. So again, for this, we are going to use some filtering. So the filtering, it works very much the same as for internal external filtering. It's similar. You filter on the part of the website that is only B2B. What is very interesting about GA4 is that you can create an access in the menu to customize, to have like just what we did for the university, for the clients to know exactly where are these reports. And you can name these reports, whatever is useful for the client. So here it's just clearly B2B, and we have another type of report that is whole websites. And that's very easy to do. And the second thing is what I call ensure usability. So that's the next slide. When I say ensure usability, so the thing is, when you set up GA4, like automatically GA4 is going to ask you, is this website an e-commerce? Is this website a lead generation, and da-da-da? And when you choose something, it's going per default to provide you with some standard reporting and to organize the menu. But the thing is, this is all default based on what Google think you need, based on the type of websites you have chosen. But then you can move everything around. You can get rid, like the cool thing with GA4 is that you have this menu and you can hide things and add things in the menu without losing any data tracking, because your dashboards, they are just going to be hidden in the library, but not easily accessible in the menu. So which means that instead of selling some types of Google Data Studio dashboards for a lot of things for your clients, you can build it directly in GA4, and you can organize the menu and so that your clients finds everything. So you can really much better coach and train the person who is going to use the data. Which,
sorry
yeah,
to interrupt you. I know that we are a requirement 4, but like we have 5 minutes left. No questions, so choose your slides.
Yeah. Of course, we can answer questions or keep on the slides. That's really up to you.
No, you can go, but just then we still have
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay. So you can go to the next slides. So the thing is, you can get buy-in from the clients to optimize the website for conversion using very simple exploration report. For instance, if you use the funnel exploration reports in the case of the B2B, you can provide visual evidence of what could be improved, because the moment your client is going to see such a report, and where you see the abandonment rate and where you see people not going in the next step in the funnel, it's just suddenly makes it much more real for the client to say, oh, but this is not working, you know. so it's much easier, and this report, instead of using Google Sheets, you can create it in 10 minutes in GA4 to provide visual evidence to sell or help have an impact. For instance, in that case, and that's the next slide. In that case, there is a very big difference between having a service page with a contact us button versus suggesting optimizations, such as adding the contact person, the picture of the person and their role, a clickable phone number, a clickable email address, and a call me back options. And all of these options, like clickable number and email address, are easy to track in your funnel reports, but they can have a really high impact in this type of business, because like the filling in a contact form, it's not something that anybody likes to do, really, even in the B2B. So these are really small things that can have a high impact, and that you can do thanks to GA4, that you can really show with the funnel. So remember, it really helps when you are able to show evidence and prove these impacts. And in that case, GA4 is making it easier for you to create the dashboards, because you can build them within the tools without taking the data elsewhere. And for lots of cases, it's going to be enough to work within the tools. Of course, there are edge scenarios which we cannot go into in this webinar, but there are lots of things that you can do yourselves. So as the last thing that I wanted to show for this webinar is a couple of stuff that are useful when you do your offers, and this is really important internally like externally, is having very clear activities and of what there is to do, what are the blockers, what has to be validated and when. And also you need to consider each touch point, like when is it that you need to deliver what type of message to your clients, and think about what types of thing you can offer your clients to have a touch point in the future, but something that is going to be a low investment for you as a consultant. For instance, saying, oh, we're going to do 4 weeks after we set up the dashboard, we are going to check that everything works well and we'll get in touch with you. This is a really low investment for you, but it's a really high value, because then it's the opportunity for you to talk again with your clients, remind your clients that they have dashboards that they can use. So that's really good. And also really always ask for reviews and backlinks when you can. I know that we are wary, especially in Switzerland, to ask for reviews, and but that is essential. And so this is a suggestion of an offer, what it could look like. The first thing is the project launch. Really remember that when you brief the technical team, this is already consulting and it should be paid. So sometimes we tend to brief the technical team before the client know if they're going to hire us. But if we brief someone, this is something that the type of value that we are delivering. And separating the audits of the setup and the reporting and the coaching and the follow-up makes it really easy to deliver what it is you want to do, but with clear-cut activities. And I have one last offer that we did, and in that offer, what I wanted to highlight is the number 5, what I call the fall KPI meeting. It's good when you sell dashboards to sell some sort of follow-up and interpretation. Otherwise, you can be sure that your dashboards, they're going to stay there and be useless forever, because nobody's going to look at them or know what to do with them. So I call the fall KPI meeting, because it's an excellent time to meet with your clients, look at the dashboards, what's happened during the year, and what are you going to do during the next year, and to start discussing about budgets for the next year and what type of things you can provide for your clients. So of course, we're here to help you. We have like 5 minutes for questions, and or 2 minutes for questions, I don't know. But you can get in touch with us, of course.
So, okay, so it's question time. So type your questions if you have them. If not, okay, so we are already at the thank you. It is really good. So, okay, so I know then a lot of people have to go, but if you have a question, it's now or then you can contact them. You can see the email address of Irina, the email address. Question, please. Okay. So, what is the situation with the Swiss privacy law that came into effect September 1st? GA4 is not supposed to be okay according to the law, which is basically adopting GDPR. Thank you. Do you have? Okay. So, yes. So the Swiss regulation law.
GDPR is a whole topic. I don't think we'll have the time to dig into this, but basically the best scenario is to have an opt-in before the information goes to GA4. So that's the very, very summarized version of it. Like the code fires after there is an opt-in for the users, and that's the best version. The second option you have is like just an information. There's no opt-in, you just inform. And the first is, what was the first? I don't know, I never use it. Irina, I don't remember.
So when you are collecting the data and you can actually reject this. So usually this is the USA case. So in USA, they are collecting by default, but you can click to reject. But yeah, this is the tricky thing. And with GDPR, they are also, the concern with GA4 is that they transfer the data to the USA. So now I think they are trying to solve this as a GA4, because Google for sure would like to have all this audience is the European people to still use GA4, that it should be stored in Europe. And this should solve the issue with the GDPR most probably. So they are still like negotiating, I think, this one. So what is told already? So if you are now using GA4, for sure, you can collect the data only after the opt-in from the user. So it's kind of closer to what GDPR asks for.
Perfect. Thank you for the answer. I read exactly an article about that the other day. So, okay, so do you have any course? So the Isaline is answering, and she said, you give course, Irina. So, and then you can check the details. She gave the email address. So I think, any other question? Question 1, question 2. You have to at least write question in the chat.
So if you want to see the slides, we have shared our email address. So contact us on any social media, write us an email, and we can share the slides, answer some follow-up questions about the talk. And of course, if you have some special that go beyond what we shared today, we're happy to answer for a fee, because we have to eat and drink and have a roof over our heads. But Irina does coaching, and we have some easy packages where we are happy to answer any personalized type of questions that you have. But as long as you have general questions about what we have presented today, we're happy to answer for free on social media, wherever you contact us.
Thank you so much for coming, for joining us. Thank you, Isaline. Thank you, Irina. That was very insightful, very cool, by the way. Thank you, everybody that joined us, because you always do an effort. You join us. It's cool. You participate through the chat. So thank you so much to everybody. Kiss, kiss, and see you soon then.
Thank you, everybody.
Ciao.
Thank you, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Now I have to stop the recording. I don't remember. Okay. The recording is going. I will say ciao to